Healing is not about something that needs to be added in. Our bodies were designed perfectly. Healing is about allowing interferences with our bodies functioning in their perfect design, including natural regeneration. It allows removing the interferences so that our bodies can do what they're designed to do. So reconnective healing is very different in many, many ways. First of all, with most energy healing techniques, you have to pretty much figure out what you think the problem is, and then you approach it with that limited concept or perspective of changing the part of the problem that you're able to at least recognize. In essence, this is diagnosis. Now, a lot of them say it's not diagnosis, but if you determine what needs to be speeded up or what needs to be slowed down, you're diagnosing. If you're determining where there's an ache or where there's a pain, there's a diagnosis of form going on. If you're using, whether it's a pendulum, whether it's O-ring, whether it's muscle testing, you're diagnosing because you're trying to figure out where the weakness is or where the strength is, where the congestion is, where the chakra color change is, where the spin should be. These are all forms of diagnosis. And really, well, the understanding might come about if we look at the word diagnosis. We have di from the Greek, meaning two. Agnosis from the Greek, we have di from the Latin, meaning two. Agnosis from the Greek, agnostic, meaning don't know. So there you have it. Two people who don't know, you and your doctor, so why bother? When we determine or attempt to determine what the person's problem is, we then focus on seeing whether we can fix it. Even if we try to approach it from attempting to be a medical intuitive, what is the value of that information unless we can attempt to try to fix something? And that's what happens. But the higher level that we can rise to comes when we no longer attempt to direct the healing to bring about a certain type of a response. But instead, when we allow ourselves to rise to the level of becoming the observer and the observed, and as we're willing to be in that state of observation, we find that the universe displays the perfection and beauty of the healing process before us. So, in truth, the less that we know about the person that we're about to work with, the better off that person is, because the less likely we are to attempt to direct or alter the course of the healing process to fit the limited perspective that we're able to understand from our human conscious educated minds. And the more likely that we are to gain the true gift of being able to witness a more phenomenal, a more comprehensive, a wiser, and more intelligent healing.
So it's really recognizing that there is an universal intelligence that is doing the work.
That's the first step. The first step, the key step, is to recognize that there is a universal intelligence. Not just give it lip service, not just say it, but to recognize it and allow it to orchestrate. We've been taught the I, me approach to healing. It's not our fault, but it's the way we've been taught. This approach is what has given us healers who walk in and they say, well, the moment I walked into the room, I saw that the aura was out of balance. I saw that the chakras were spinning, some of them the wrong way. I saw that there was an area of congestion or density that needed to be removed. So I, using my very special techniques that only I learned from a master, and some of you might never learn it, I removed the red, I rebalanced the aura spins, I got rid of the density, made everything flow freely again. Aren't I wonderful? And maybe we don't always say, aren't I wonderful? And we probably don't say, I, me so loudly and clearly, but maybe we should. Because once we do, we might begin to hear and see what we've actually been doing. The truth is, if we worked on, for example, an athlete who injured themselves, what would we experience? What would we see? What would they experience? Well, let's say that an athlete on the playing field injured his or her knee. There's swelling, there's heat, there's altered function, there's redness, there's pain. The pain is the knee picking up the body's telephone system, calling up to the brain, saying, help, 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 there's damage down here. And the brain says, okay, got it handled. I'm going to send increased blood flow, we're going to wash away the damaged tissue, we're going to send healing nutrient fluids to bathe the area in regenerative nutrients. It's going to keep the area congested in a sense and swollen. It's going to limit its motion, but that is to protect it while it's in that delicate situation. During the healing process, there will be color changes. You'll see red from the blood flow. You'll see the tissue go through various color changes during the healing process. There'll be temperature changes. This is all a part of the perfect design of the intelligence of the universe, demonstrating itself through the innate intelligence of the human body. What would not be so intelligent would be to take that same athlete, throw him on a table in the back room, get some artificial electrical current such as ultrasound or a muscle stimulator, and short circuit the phone call so that the knee is hollering up to the brain, help, 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 and the brain hears, so it hangs up the phone. Then we inject that athlete with anti-inflammatories, give them painkillers, and send them out on the field with a pain-free knee, but a knee that's not been healed. Maybe balancing on an ankle that's been pain-free for years, but not healed, and therefore we're not aware of the feedback system as it continues to further degenerate. And this process goes on, and we wonder why our athletes don't have a career after the age of 30. Now, if we're able to understand this concept, then the question that we need to ask ourselves includes, is the intelligence of the universe any less intelligent off of the body than it is on the body? In other words, when that healing practitioner comes in and rebalances the chakras to spin in the direction that they think that they should spin in, what makes them think that those shifts in balance are any less intelligent than the shifts or the redirections in the flow of the fluids going on in the body? When they remove the chakra colors that they think shouldn't be there and rebalance them so that the ones they think should be there, when they remove the area of red that they think should be purple or green, what makes them think that those color changes away from the norm is any less intelligent than the color changes that the body's tissue goes through? When they remove the areas of density, what makes them think that that increased density or congestion is any less intelligent than the swelling of the knee that's keeping it protected and bathed in the nutrient fluids? In other words, what that healer is really saying, and let's listen to it in a human voice. What they're saying is this: thanks a lot, God. It looks like you've done a pretty swell job with, most of the universe up until now, but you missed these spots. Let me fix them for you. By the way, here's my pink business card with the rainbows and the fairies. It lists all the various energy healing techniques that I've mastered. Keep the card. Call on me anytime I can help you again. I would love to stay and chat, but I have just about enough time to run off, email everyone I've ever known and tell them exactly what I have just done, and then still make it to the class that I'm teaching tonight on how to transcend your ego. By the way, you might want to come. There's always something for everyone.
So this is quite evolutionary, not revolutionary. You like to use the word evolutionary.
It is requiring our sense of self to open up. It is requiring us to rise above the ego of technique and the self-importance that comes when we say, I've mastered this healing technique, I'm going to list it. I'm a grandmaster here, I'm a grandmaster here. I've learned DNA 1 and DNA 2 and DNA 37 and advanced DNA work. You don't need all that. The fact is, when you're 100% present, you're 100% clear, you don't need to be doing those things. You step in as who and what you are. And the space that you share as you vibrate at that level of coherent light becomes a reminder to that person with whom you're sharing that space. And something inside of them says, hey, I remember this. This is me vibrating as light. I think I'll do it again. And as they return to that vibration of light, nothing denser, nothing heavier than light really has anything left to hold on to. So it simply falls away, if appropriate, for that person at that point in time in their life. And healing really is just that simple.
But you must piss off more than one person on this planet
Oh
too
God,
with this.
yes, but you know what? If all we did was make sure that we said nice things that made everyone feel good, how much change might we necessarily bring about? The fact is, every time we think we need to hold one hand here and one hand here and collapse a wavelength, we're being so self-important as if we know where that wavelength should collapse. Every time we think we need to bring in this color frequency, what? Do we understand the mind of God? If you do, I would love to meet you.